Hi there! Welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for Polkadot. If you're new to my sessions, here are the key takeaways you can expect. I'll cover the Wyckoff stages, both current and upcoming, in both weekly and daily time frames for Polkadot, and also the key price levels that Polkadot will find support or resistance, and finally, any breakout timing that Polkadot's charts are indicating to us. So let's start with the weekly chart. In last session, we already talked about are we there yet for the actual bottom of the spring, because previously, for the past 2 weeks, it was still around the level of the previous test back in mid-June. And currently, we are seeing these candlesticks still getting lower and lower, trying to get the bottom of the spring confirmed. And from a lower time frame, we have drawn these two price points, $2.28 as well as $1.52, to confirm where are the potential support levels, let's put it this way, because we don't know where the bottom will finish, because only in August 2020, the very far left over here, the price has gone to that point. In 5 years after that, no point in time, the price has gone below the $3.40 mark. So we are at that time. So if the price really comes down, now it's currently at a no reference zone, like I said, okay? The only two references we can grab from 5 years ago was 2.28 and 1.52. So that's the big picture. It pretty much hasn't changed for 3 weeks or even 4 weeks now. It's still seeking its low and currently still being suppressed by this resistance line. So hopefully it's going to break outside of this resistance very soon. If I draw this here, it looks like it is going to get there, but depending on how you draw the line, right, there are multiple resistance lines over here, and currently it's a dual resistance situation. One, we have the bottom edge of this white box. This white box is actually the long-term playground zone. Alright, it basically encapsulates since 2020 where the price has been trading, the range the price has been trading within. So only exception are the peaks of the climaxes, or that mega distribution back in 2021 to early 2022. 70-80% of the time otherwise, Polkadot has been trading within this area, this long-term playground zone. So that's the use of the box to let us know where we are. We're currently outside of the bottom of that box. So it's also another outlier situation compared to these peaks on the top. You can invert the chart and imagine these are also peaks, but only towards the south, not the north. All right. So if this is like our planet, so we've got some peaks at the North Pole, and we are at the peaks at the South Pole currently. All right. And in terms of the Wyckoff, yeah, we talk about it's still seeking the bottom of the spring, meaning we are hoping to see in future a sign of strength, meaning for it to come up to at least hit somewhere around the 5.2 level, that orange key level, and then show us a sign of strength or even back up last point of support. So that's the period where it springs towards the new distribution cycle. Okay, this 70% for the test here, what I mean is it probably would continue trading sideways. So it may not go all the way up to 5.2 immediately. It can show some sort of behavior we had back in July all the way till end of September, trading between the white bottom edge and the red key level of $4.3. So that's the big picture. Before getting into the daily chart, let's quickly check the Bollinger Band and Koerner squeeze. The squeeze is still going on, meaning the bigger wave has yet to happen. So if you're new to this Bollinger Band Kernel Squeeze indicator, it means that bigger price swings is likely to happen when the squeeze force is finally released. So it can swing to the upside first and then to the downside, or it can swing to the downside first before going up. So in Polkadot's chart, unfortunately, over the past 5 years, it doesn't show, the indicator itself doesn't show any of such. But if I look at the chart, I always share with the community that when the purple lines and the orange lines are close enough, we don't have to wait till the indicator show us that shade at the back. So these lines were basically tied together, and that's, I consider, a squeeze already. So you see the price swings afterwards, much like what happened over here as well. So those two were very close at one point, and it continues to trade sideways, and eventually we've got that swing. Alright, time to get to the daily chart and see whether there are any breakout timings that the chart is indicating to us. And for Bollinger Band Kernel Squeeze, like I mentioned, one side are basically tied together, the bottom purple and the orange line. The top purple is actually inside, so we are currently in a squeeze for the daily chart. Alright, let's switch back to the drawings. So we are seeing this. So when you ask, like, what are these question marks about, right? The question I've posted here is that, are we actually going through an accumulation over here? Or is it just the beginning of the accumulation, meaning we are only at the preliminary support stage? Because sometimes you can see in charts that during the preliminary support period, so you see this one, it came straight down for 6 consecutive red candles and reached all the way to selling climax back in end July, beginning of August. But then if we go further, during mid-June, we see this 4 consecutive red, but then it traded sideways for 3 more days before it eventually came down to the selling climax in late June. So there are 2 different types of scenarios, and sometimes it takes longer in the preliminary support stage before it actually comes to the selling climax. So that's why I asked the question over here. Because we are in this horizontal stage after that outlier event on the October 10th, so this may have disrupted the pattern. So until this has significant change in shape, meaning if it comes down deeper, that's likely where the selling climax is. Alright? If it doesn't, if it really shoots back up, then we know all these question marks over here we can remove, and that we have actually gone through this mini accumulation cycle. So if that's the selling climax back in October 10th, October 11th, then this one is the automatic rally on the October 13th. And eventually we've got a second test and then 2 more tests. So this could be a second test on the 17th, and another test over here on the 22nd. So that's the question that's still pending an answer. Okay, if the price continues to trade like this sideways, I would consider that an accumulation if it trades for like 1 or 2 more weeks. Currently we are already 19-20 days in. It's a very tricky situation. Not that we can't take out the question marks now, because if the price really comes down, we have seen charts that prices will go below the selling climax like this back in March, April just this year. Okay, it can happen. You can call that a spring or second test. It doesn't matter what the name is. it has its meaning in Wyckoff method, but then they are basically all testing how strong or how weak the sentiments of people are, how fearful, how panic they are, or how strong they are to hold the particular asset in their hands. You can call them diamond hands or not. That basically it. So all these, whatever name you give them, they are tests of people. Okay, we talked about these price level 2.28 already. I'm not going to repeat. Previously, we talked about this time point, the breakout before October 31st. It broke out on Sunday during the price surge, but that's very short-lived for a day, and then eventually we've got 4 days of almost consecutive decline, except what happened on Wednesday, just taking a breath, but got rejected high there, and then went below this yellow resistance line. Now, even for today, is still trading below this yellow dashed line. So this line is drawn from the previous test levels. So if this really stays below this line, I'm going to extend this as well, because what's happening right now may well be this resistance line also impacting the price action. So you see there are two resistance lines here. Currently, the candlestick for today, the price challenged the white around the 2.92 level and got rejected below both resistance lines. So there is a chance, likely chance, that this line is in effect. So for the next few days, if the candlesticks appears here or below this line, that's when we have to be careful for the price to really come down to test the 2.28 level. Okay, so while we are talking about this, let me extend this line even further. Yeah, 320, no, it has to be further towards the right, because I want to draw this cross over here. That's pointing towards November 21st. So just to talk about the pessimistic scenario, if it really follows this line and come down to this triangle, that's the other breakout time point that we have before this one. If it breaks above this white resistance line, that's slightly relieving. At least it can trade sideways towards this time point, towards early December. But if it doesn't, if it really got suppressed below this white line, the third week of November, it's when the potential breakout opportunity will surface. Okay, so that's Polkadot. Not that it's very encouraging for the time being, because it's seeking its journey towards the actual spring. But then, assuming the crypto industry is still going to last for more years, this may be a point in time to review what projects really interest you and which one worth your investment. So thanks for joining me. See you in the next session.